She's brassy and bold, quite a cat. She's got a heart of gold, with earrings to match. The ladies get panache when she shakes her ass, and she will tell. That's Fran! Hey, Fran! Here's Fran!
Show is Live and Let Live. So we're going to meet people who were bullied and harassed simply for being different. For some, it was their height, their weight. For others, it was their ethnicity or even their sexual orientation. And believe it or not, there are even some people like me who were bullied in junior high school simply for having the perfect Farrah Fawcett shag. It's true. I didn't even know this girl. I don't even know what her problem was. I did nothing to make her hate me other than get up an hour early every day to blow dry and make sure my blue eyeshadow was balanced. For me to do this show and talk about something that's been in the news. So I spoke to my production staff about doing a show about bullying, and it turns out that 2 of my team staff members who I know and love were actually bullied. And after hearing their story, I thought this is what this segment should be about. So I sought out a top psychologist to enlighten us about this topic. Please welcome Dr. Sheila Forman. And please welcome 2 people that are extremely important to me, my music director, Gavin Lerson, G-Man, and my executive producer of the Fran Drescher Tawk Show, Scott Sternberg. So, now, let me turn to these folks first. Scott, you were seriously bullied when you were a kid. Can you tell us what happened?
14 years old, freshman in high school. I'm 5'1", I'm 103 pounds, really, really small. I happened to be a tennis player, so I made the varsity tennis team. I was the only freshman on the team. 2 weeks after our first match, 2 of the big guys picked me up, took me to the corner of the tennis courts where there was a drain. They picked the drain up, put me into the drain, put the cover on top, then peed on me. As soon as that was done, and they all laughed, standing over me, they pulled me out of there, and they beat the crap out of me. I would say that's being bullied.
Oh, my God. You must have felt so awful.
It was...
I'm so
I've never
sorry.
forgotten that.
Of course. The imprint still remains on you to this day, I'm sure. Now, Gavin, what is your story? And because you were also badly, but look at this. I mean, this is just unbelievable. What happened to you growing up, and for how long?
Well, mine was more of a longer story. It was a span of about 10 or so years. I was a scrawny kid, very, very thin and smaller than the other kids, and I had low self-esteem for whatever reason. So I was an easy target for groups of bullies that would find me. So. I would develop tactics of, you know, if I go down this hall, I'll get the guys that'll just hit me in the stomach. If I go down this hall, I'll get the guys that hit me in the face. So
every single day you had this anxiety of how you were going to, what was the worst of 2 evils, who was going to beat you up less?
I would strategize, yeah, and you couldn't tell the authorities because you get in trouble for for fighting. So. Did
this affect your performance as a student?
Yes, yeah. I hated school, nothing.
You hated school. Well, who could blame you? Okay, Dr. Forman, how do the parents that are viewing here recognize that their child could be the victim of bullying in school, that they're going to school every day and literally being tortured? How do the parents that are watching this recognize that?
Probably the most important question anyone can ask, and I want to acknowledge you two gentlemen for coming forward and sharing your stories, because the more we talk about it, the more we can do something about it. One of the reasons why bullies bully is because they can. It isn't until recently that we started to look at the consequences, both psychological psychologically and from society's point of view about bullying that we're taking a stand.
So how can parents recognize this, and how can we create a climate at home that makes it more amicable for a child to feel like they can go to their parents?
Absolutely. One of the things that parents need to do, first of all, start to notice the signs. If you see you see a change in your child's behavior, all of a sudden a student that was a good student doesn't like school anymore. They join the tennis team, they don't want to play tennis anymore. You start seeing behavioral problems, insomnia, maybe they start getting a lot of stomach aches, anxiety, depression. Any change in your child's affect, their mood, or their behavior could be a sign that they're being bullied, and what you need to do is sit down and talk to them. And one of the best ways to do is to use something like this, like your show, to say, I saw this on television. What do you think about it? Let's talk about this. And use something like this segment as a way to open the door, for them to realize that this is something we can talk about, and nothing bad will happen to them if they share their story with their parents.
Okay, well, I think that that's really important. Now, why would a child have such an axe to grind that he goes to school with the intent to torture other children? Don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to meet a former bully and find out how it all got started. Thank you. This is all about live and let live, but there's something I need to talk about, and of course it's bullies. So I've been sitting here talking to my executive producer, Scott, and my music director, Gavin, two people that were bullied in school. And now I'd like to introduce you to a man who has been on the other side of this topic, and he's about to give us a glimpse into the mind of a bully. He's now a very successful musician, and we're thrilled to have him be so honest about his past. Please welcome Christopher. Now, tell me, Christopher, at what age did you begin bullying? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, 12 years old.
At 12?
Yeah.
Okay, and I always think that if a child has so much anger, my question is, what is going on with him at home? So what was, does that connect for you?
Completely connected. I had an abusive childhood. You know, my step-parents were basically pretty abusive. And
abusive in one way? Did they
physically,
beat you?
yeah,
okay.
Physically, mentally, both sides of the family. And I was dealing with that where I didn't have any control in my life, you know, at home. And when I came to, well, preface that, even before that, when I was going to school in Memphis, it was a very tough school. You had to fight a lot just to get through. Just to get through. And so I was very used to like having to fight my way through school.
So you must have been very frustrated being basically bullied at home.
Yeah, bullied at home and initially bullied at school too, and but then fighting through it. And then I moved to California. And when I moved to California, the school was radically different. It was very, you know, nobody was fighting. It was very, but for me, I saw it as an opportunity to make a statement to go, leave me alone, you know, because it's the only time in my life that, the only place I had in my life that nobody hit me or hurt me.
So at that point, you really didn't have insight that you were acting out because you were so unhappy at home.
Yeah.
When did you learn about that? I mean,
you know, I started learning it when I stopped. I stopped when, of all things, I got a guitar for Christmas when I was like 15. And it's what I do now.
Yes.
And it was my safe place. It was the first time I had like a real safe place I used music for.
Isn't that amazing? We were just talking to Sheila E. on another show, and she also said she was a victim of rape, and she said how, you know, the music saved her. And I'm always, and I know Gavin is too, always supporting arts and education and music and education, which is always the first thing to be cut. But here's another example of a child that was saved because you were able to express yourself musically. Now, Doctor, just tell me, you know, in a situation like this, we have children that are bullied. We have a child that was bullied at home and then goes to school and takes out his anger on somebody else. Our counselors at school, our teachers, our, you know, professionals conditioned to not only deal with the victim, but the bully himself, because obviously this child has a serious problem.
Absolutely, and Christopher's story is so typical. These children come from a place where they've seen violence, they know violence, they feel powerless, so they need to exert their power. Like you came to the new school, you were going to be the tough one. But people don't realize that bullies are victims also.
Right.
And counselors and teachers, they're conditioned to look at the victims, as they should be, but the bullies need intervention also, because that's where we can stop this problem. If we can get to the bullies and address their emotional pain, they won't need to act out.
Absolutely. It's not about just, you know, punishing the kid that's starting the fight. It's about understanding that both these children have serious problems from both sides of the spectrum.
And it's important to forgive that, I think.
To forgive.
For whatever victim, if you can forgive.
Yes, to start letting it go, and also to talk about it. I always find that whatever you hold in your heart that's painful, the more you talk about it, the more it takes the curse off of it. Well, Dr. Forman, I cannot thank you enough for your insight on this topic, and I want to thank everyone here for being so brave and sharing with your stories. My heart goes out to you. There's so much I want to talk about, and we don't even have the time because I'm sure this has left its imprint on you, but we'll have to do that in another segment. So next, we're gonna coming up is an actor and a singer who reveals his own personal struggles with non-acceptance by his own mother. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.